Welcome to the Outside the Business Boxes podcast, where we're talking about how to ignite your business today for the future using systems for everything you do in your business to make your life, your employees' lives, and your customers' lives easier for you to ultimately enjoy your business and, of course, make more money. I'm your host, Chad Murray.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Outside the Business Box. This is Chad Murray. I am your host here. And I got something a little different today. I'm going to do the best of Chad. Let's have a little fun and let's go through some of sound bites that I've put together over the last couple of years and discuss a little bit what we've talked about in the last 2 years. So I've had my first podcast was back in 2019. I did a welcome, to who I am. Little thing, terrible little, 30, 40 minute deal I did, but it was the kickoff. I had never spoken to a microphone, really, not like this at least. And so I just kind of started to put myself out there, but it's interesting. Before I play the soundbite, what's happened since I recorded that first podcast? It was in 2019, my best year ever. We were at 3.5 million. We didn't quite go up to what I projected to 5, but it was still the best year we'd had at the time. And things were great. At least what I thought was great at the time. It's so funny what great means now versus what it meant to me back then. I really have, grown, and we'll talk about a little bit more in a couple of sound bites. And I think we'll end it up with Steve Scally and talking about how you learn. And so, but it's amazing to me how we start off with where I was then. You go through everything that happened. And as you all know, my business sucked through COVID and where we come out of it and where my business is at now, which I'll end up talking about again. But how the years go through and how they're so different and how you manage to run through your business and be who you are through that. And so I kind of chronological kind of go through that, and and it's just such an interesting, take on going back and listening to where I've come from just then to now. And so enjoy it. So I'm going to play the first soundbite.
It's something that most business owners can't see themselves doing because they can't relinquish the what would you call it? The control. They can't give up control to someone else because they don't think anyone can do it as good as them. And that might be a certain truth where they can't do it exactly the way you do it. But if you manage the crew managing the company, you still aren't there every day dealing with the day-to-day, but you're still the direction of the company. I'm very well still the visionary in my company. It's certainly progressed us, and over the last 3 or 4 years, it's definitely doubled our sales and growing exponentially. So the idea of stepping out and not working as much in the business and starting to work on the business has really opened.
So obviously that's the first soundbite that I chose, obviously trying to get everybody to understand, the way you're going to progress your business is you can only do so much. Really? Okay, as you understand, that's going to be my first soundbite, because honestly, the only way to grow your business to where it's not going to rely on you is that exact thing I'm saying. You're going to eventually have to step out of your business because you can only do so much work. Now, that isn't for everybody. I get that. And I know a lot of businesses, if the guy likes to work in the business, they like to do the actual work. But I've, and the reason what I coach and what I believe, since I've literally been fallen ill at some point twice in my lifetime since I've owned Master Services, to where I could not go to work, that it, one time it put me in bankruptcy, and here last time with COVID, we had sales growth. So, which do you want to go down? Do you want to end up filing bankruptcy, or do you want to have a business that can survive without you, at least for 3 or 4 months? And so that's kind of what I try to preach more people is do you have that? like, can you at least survive if you are not in a truck? Can your business do that? So, I mean, that's step one of building your business up to where you can at least be a general from a bedside uh, manner, or they know what to do. Because typically, if you're, like with me, I could have still generaled and given orders and everything else here when I was in COVID. Maybe not the first week, but the second and third week when I was in the hospital, I could. Now that I've been back out of the hospital, I'm I could not go on. I still cannot climb a ladder right now. I still could not drive around a whole lot for a full day and check on jobs. And I certainly, at this point, couldn't really see homeowners in their house. But the idea is for you, do you build your business to where you at least have someone that can run it for you? You can step out. And then obviously, you want to go play golf, go on vacation, and enjoy your life, right? So build the business that you want, that it doesn't have to just 1,000%, 100% rely on you. So let's go to the next soundbite. Here it is. Well, hold on. So, oops, let me tell you, this is Mike Bodart and I speaking about some of the systems and things I learned from him when I went and visited him as a mentor that he helped me out with many years ago. And so here's the soundbite.
Ads, along with our, program to do the estimate. But another nugget that you had said was the folders to hand out to people. And I've created folders, asked your permission to kind of, plagiarize a couple of your little forms that you had in there. And I actually didn't, but I asked you if I could, and you said sure. And but we give out everybody our insurance, our workman's comp insurance thing is in there. We put out our information about a lot of the work that we do. There's like 5 handouts in there, and we developed I went and made and keep making them folders to give handout to people. So not only are they getting an email, but something sitting there on their table, and I'll tell you, I mean, I strongly think between the inspection form, camera, and that folder, and then changing the culture to doing all of that.
So I think most of you chimney sweeps now have gotten to the point of doing, an inspection, documenting it, typically having some program, like Bare Hands Pro, or whatever else is out there, or at least even if you have it on paper, whatever, you are documenting it and you're doing camera inspections. But the back end of that is the investment in, the folders, the information, a printer in the trucks. It's something that I learned from Lindemans, excuse me, that the people that we only give them out to the people that don't say yes right up front. So what is nice about this system is you go to the close, you talk about everything, you do everything you can to get them to say yes, and they just will not. So what you do then is you go out, you say, excuse me, give me about 5 minutes. I'm going to go out and create a folder for you. I'll be right back. I got to print out some stuff, and I got a printer in the truck, and I'll be right back. What's nice about that is I don't know what the ratio is. I'd say 2 out of 10, maybe 3 out of 10 people, while you go out to print and create this folder, they're on the phone with their spouse, and they say yes by the time you come back in. It's a nice little trick. But then if they don't say yes when you hand them the folder, show them the folder. It's got some stuff inside of it. But it sets you apart from everybody else that's just emailing and everything else. Or they have some sweaty, creosoted up, sooted up invoice paper, whatever. You're really going above and beyond everybody else. And that folder looks pretty. You've got nice pictures and logos and, some big jobs you've done. And then you've got these inserts of, what your relining system is, why, what parging is, and have a nice sheet about what sets you apart from everybody else, not bashing anyone else, but, all these little things. Have your insurances in there up to date, your workman's comp. And, that is really going above and beyond, showing people that who you are above everybody else. And I am telling you, it's a moneymaker. It's a little bit of cost up front, but I will tell you, it is great. I do have some sources on where to get cheaper printing. It is local to Dallas, but they ship. If you want to send me a message on Messenger, send me a messenger, and I'll find out who my printer is. I don't, at the top of my head, I don't know who it is, and I'll be glad to share that with you privately. No big deal. And maybe I'll do a podcast eventually on all my suppliers and where you can get stuff. So anyway, that was a great thing that really helped me out. Thanks, Mike, at Lindemans, and appreciate you. So let's go on to the next soundbite.
25 good apps over 100 bad ones, and that's where you're going with this. I mean, when you're attracting people, you're trying to attract like-minded people that can be on your level of consciousness and culture. That's where you start building the culture. Now, what's it like working at Master Services?
It's calm. There's no drama. There's no chaos. People do what they're supposed to do in the way they're supposed to do it. And I think that you can attribute that because when you're hiring in your business, you're selling a brand and a business instead of just a job or a role.
Right.
And I think that makes a huge difference.
It's funny. I talk to my coaching clients, especially when I first start talking to them, and some of them continually, is they talk to me about their employee issues. And they literally sit there and scratch their head. Why don't you have these employee issues?
Okay, to reference, of course we have employee issues, but we don't have drama, not very often. And so when we've built a brand, and we did this from the beginning, and we have even way better hiring techniques now than when I recorded this, which is even better finding people and through the struggles that everyone's having now in finding people. But back then, for what we had, most of my drama back then would come from really the sales guys, the educators, the crew members, not so much. I mean, every once in a while, a little bit, and at one point in time, we did have some call center drama, but really all of that, we take what we learned from the drama and we upfront tell people, we have a points list and we have things that we tell them that if this is you, or you've done this in the past at other jobs, this is what we will not tolerate. And we don't have a 3-strike system or a point system. It's like, if you do these 10, 15 things, we're essentially just going to let you go. Because we just don't deal with that kind of stuff. That's not our company. And so when they get in their position and their roles, they start working, they find out very quickly that we enforce that. I mean, the stories go around on how we've let good people go because they were crappy culture people. And so, and vice versa, like if they were good sales or they were good salespeople, same thing. We've let good salespeople go crappy, but we've also, the reverse has been said too. Good people who couldn't do the job, we let go as well, unfortunately. So, when it comes to the accountability and hiring and everything that we do like that, you have to start way before you start doing this, building this with your employees and building it with everybody else. It's a conscious effort to start doing that from day one. And if you haven't started to do that, it's how you're going to get past the $2 million to $3 million mark and up to 4 or 5. It's all about culture, because you're only going to spend so much money on advertising. It literally will be your people and growing the people. I mean, guarantee you, a $10 million company is not spending more money than I am on advertising at $4 million. That's a fact. They're just not. They're doing it through sales and culture and leadership. And so, okay, we will go on to the next soundbite. Let me see who my next soundbite is from so that I can make sure that I don't have to look at it and do it. So our next soundbite is one of my favorite dudes, the badass, Mr. Darren Bebo.
I was at an event. I was actually a speaker at the event, and towards the end, there was some questions, Q&A, and someone asked me a question. I said, I'm more than happy to help you, but you have to put in the work, because if you don't put in the work, I'm not going to fucking put in the work.
Right.
Why would I do all this work if you're not going to do the work too? So then after, the individual came up to me, and he was kind of a little bit insulted. And he just didn't like the way I delivered the message, but that's me, so too bad. But I did understand where he was coming from, but unfortunately that's how I am. So I told him, I said, hey, listen, I can name you 5 people that are in this seminar that I don't help because they raise their hand every time, I want you to help me, and then at the end of the day, they don't do the work. And then there's other people that are in there that do the work.
And there's Darren, Mr. Badass himself, and he's such. The point I bring up this clip is a lot of people literally expect something to be done by someone else or go get help, and the problem with it is, or they expect something from their employees and they didn't, whatever. And the problem is that they didn't put the work in as a leadership or an owner to make everyone in the life below them easier. Or I take on clients at times that they're so excited to go get help, and it's like they expect me that I'm going to do a lot of stuff for them. It's like, no, I don't work for you. I don't work at your business. You have to want to do the work, and it's not going to be easy, but your efforts from what you're going to do is going to make your life easier. And that's a trickle down thing for your employees and your managers below you. The more work and systems you set in place that make their life easier, your life becomes easier. But it's hard to get there because you have to get your mindset is I have to work extra, or I have to make time to do this, or I have to pass something off so I have the time. It's always about a time thing at first. You have to make the time. So when I first started coaching, I would start doing 6, 7 o'clock at night because that's all the time people would give me. I stopped that. I no longer will take a client after 5 o'clock, very rarely, maybe 6 at a time, but no longer. You got to make me as important as your business. And if you're not willing to do that, then I'm not going to work with you. I will do it 8 o'clock in the morning, but that's it. And so, the effort has got to be there from you, not just from the mind, but the actual body's got to do it. And so a lot of people, when they're stuck in the rut of trying to grow their business or learn to get out of a truck or learn how to scale their business or learn just so they can have peace in their business, is they're so stuck in this rut that they don't recognize that you're going to have to work a little extra first, but there's a reward at the end. And that reward is you don't have to work as hard as you did before. And I think that's another thing to say to people. Getting your business to work for you and you're not in it is so you work smarter and not as hard. And when you learn how to do that, you'll still have all the same problems, but they're less of tragedies in your business. You'll know how to deal with them. You're always going to have upset customers. I don't care who you are. You're still going to have that. How do you deal with it? You train better. Those start coming to less problems a week. But when you have one, you know how to deal with it better. Your training gets better with everybody. And so all about that. So, but it starts with you. Are you going to put the work in? And Bebo is saying the exact same thing. If he doesn't recognize someone is going to put the work in, he doesn't want to work with you. And I'm realizing that myself. People who I have the same session with them on and on and on. And eventually it's like, we're done. I don't need your money. I don't want it. And so we go on from there. And I let him go. Because I need you to recognize that you need to do the work, and you got to be willing to put the work in and the time to find the time to do it. So, okay, let's go on to our next sound clip, which I got to look here to see what it is. It was Darren was the last one. So the next one is, that ain't it. Let's just roll it.
What else can we can keep going.
On the vision part, one of the things a lot of people talk about is they have a hard time getting employees to come in, have a hard time getting buy-in, have a hard time getting them to even have something. I've gone to consult with other companies, and there's literally nowhere for the people to go. Like, they come in, they're going to be apprentice and then a chimney sweep in our case, but apprentice and then a pool installer, apprentice and then you need to build, I saw your system. I think you put it up on Facebook. I think it was one of John Caesar's things, and you said, here's our thing. I thought that was brilliant. And it's simple, but it's a step process, not Well, we used to have it this way. You came in, you were apprentice, and then when you passed the certification test and ran with us for whatever we determined when you became the chimney sweep, and that was it.
You're done.
Like, you're done. Like,
Just go make money.
That's it for life. So like,
So I chose that, and we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but I chose that little soundbite from when me and Mark had one of our podcasts together. Was it's not just giving someone the job and showing them the vision. It's now giving them the opportunity to live that vision and getting on them to make sure that they're living the vision, and the vision of not just giving them a job. You know, you can't have a 5-year employee who literally is just getting raises just because he's worked with you for 5 years. What are you giving him to advance in our industry to help him make you more money, to give him a purpose, a value? Because nobody is going to stay in a job in this day and age like our grandparents and great grandparents did, where they went and they did a hammer the same way for 50 years and retired. Those days are over. People need something of value in their lives and feel like when they go home, they accomplished something. And I'm not saying anything bad about the old generation and stuff. You know, they fought wars and they did whatever. They earned the right to just throw a hammer up and go home and raise a family and all that. Okay, we're a different, generation, and the people below us are a different generation. And so as rolling with the times are, the best thing you could do for your business, and businesses had this even back in the golden age, what are you giving value for the people, your employees, to go home and want to stay and keep working for you and have a system of value created for them so that they're with you 10, 15, 20 years? Do you have that? And if you don't have it, it's okay. Start with something small and build upon it. I don't care if you're a one truck company and you have yet to find your first employee. Come up with a goal of what you want to give an employee that works for you in 1 year. And then 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and just come up with that. Start there. And then once you've finally got 3 or 4 trucks and you come off the road, you now can start building the system of vision. And vision is huge when you're trying to run a bigger company that doesn't have to rely on you. So great point. Good little sound bite. So let's go on to the next one. 40 people, and in our on season up to 60 people. And we just don't allow all that and that's been going on before we retired, from the business operations. That's just us. I mean,
yeah, you have to think of the call center as a team, and you just don't want a lot of drama. You don't want a lot of people talking behind each other's backs. I mean, you're there to do a job, and it's okay to be friendly, and we want everyone to get along, but you have to think of it as a team. And when we started, we were truly a family business, all husband, wife, my mother-in-law and father-in-law and everything like that. So we tried to present the call center as, we're a business, but we want you to feel like a family here, because we want, that portrayed to our customers too. We're a family business.
All right, I'm starting to see a theme of what I picked and stuff. It's all about culture. I mean, I didn't plan that, but I'm telling you, yes, I'm able to work with my family members, but we also, when we bring someone into the fold at Master Services and they've been with us, we give them the right to, the job, and we pat them on the back and, you're hired. Thank you. You're part of our culture now. But if at some point in time, they actually get a bonding feeling of you are part of the family, and we've had that since day one. We've kicked a lot of people out of the family, but we've also, I think more so of created this culture of generally we really do value the people. And I think when you have that gratitude and you show that gratitude, they give it back to where you can start scaling and moving your business forward. So, my wife and my mother really cultivated the call center. If you're not, if you're still answering the phone in a truck, one of the first things that you need to do after you get another employee or two in a truck with you is get someone answering the phones that's not you. Train someone to do it. You'll make more money because you just the appointments they'll make on top of what you have, well, and be able to run your business from a call center point of view. You'll be able to do more jobs, point blank, flat out. So, but you need to find someone good with the culture that can handle it up first, because when you first hire that person, they are really the face of your business until you show up. So make sure you go through and find that right person that can work for you in the call center. And I would do your due diligence on the interviewing process of that. So, okay, let's move on. Next soundbite.
January 28th, 2020. Let me reference where I am in my life, and then let me tell you what I'm feeling today. Never been in a better spot financially. Never been in a better spot family-wise, career-wise. Coaching business is blossoming. Just won the 2019 New Coach of the Year. My master services chimney company's never had more money, more available credit, better employees, better management than I've ever had before. But let me tell you, it's a struggle every day, and let me tell you why. The anxiety of just owning a business. It weighs on you. You have to learn to deal with it. You have to learn. You have to just learn every day to keep going and make things better.
Okay, that episode right there was after I had some big anxiety about just, things were great, and it's just like the business sometimes get overwhelming. It gets overwhelming for you, even when things are going well. I mean, I often get this question asked to me. It's like, when do I stop working on my business? When does it get better? You're never going to stop working on your business. You're going to have anxieties. You're going to have to learn to be an entrepreneur, and you're going to evolve on how you deal with stuff as you grow and evolve your business and scale your business. And even if you're flatlined in your business, things in the times change. People will change, and so it's okay to have anxiety. Fortunately for me, I now talk to a lot of industry people that are either even, that have larger businesses, and I talk to them. I talk to a few people that don't even have larger businesses that have been in business a long time, and how they deal with the anxiety and their stresses and stuff. And so I have my own little network of people I talk to, but I went for the first 20 years of my business. I didn't know anybody in the industry. I mean, not really. I mean, if I needed something done, I'd call Marshall Peters at CCP and figure something out through him. But that was really technical. Where was the support that I had? And luckily, I have a great family unit, and I didn't really read books back then and stuff. I mean, I didn't really get into the book world until I personally discovered Audible 5 years ago. So I literally would have my own anxieties, and different things, and muffled through growing a business for the first 20 years with zero help. It was all done on my own, and it was rough. And then once I started, getting help and learning to help other people, I was able to start taking some of the anxieties and squish them. But I will tell you, I mean, even today, I still have anxieties at times. I do not like dealing with operations in my company. I hate it. I don't mind dealing with the customers so much, but I hate dealing, with an upset customer, even if it's an easy one. I'm good at it, but I really don't like doing it. I mean, I have my team do it. I mean, I will do everything I can to not ever have to deal with that stuff, just because I like to stay positive. I'm the type of guy, when something goes wrong, I super hyper focus on it. I get anxiety, and I can take things to levels that are just stupidity. And so that's not my lane. I mean, don't bring for me to solve these huge emotional things. Now, I'm good at it if offered to me and it's something that I have to deal with right away. I'm good under pressure. But when it comes to sitting around and thinking, sometimes when you go that dark, just kind of like when you just start thinking of negative things. And it's funny how when things are going well, you're like, you start to think, what's going to ruin this? What bomb is going to drop? You got to stop that. I have. I've gotten so much better at that. Enjoy the good times when they're here. And when the bad times come, actually, a client just asked me 2 days ago, things are going so well. And I hear about the economy's going to tank and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, listen, it ain't tanking yet. You're booked up 2 months. You're scheduling out even longer than that for sweep stuff. Deal with today. Let's not worry about what happens next year and after that. You're prepared. You've made it through other disasters in our country, COVID especially. We'll all make it. So let's concentrate on today. Enjoy today, and squish your little anxieties, because they really are. They're not helpful. Just try to get over them. A lot of people have them. Some people are listening to this going, I don't have anxieties. Well, a lot of people do. I'm one of them. And I don't have them as nearly ever anymore. But when I was growing my business, I certainly did. So let's move on to the next soundbite.
I said, man, if I got to be a jerk to run the business, I don't want to run it. He said, you don't need to be a jerk, but they need to know that you won't take any crap off them. You need to be nice, but you don't take any crap. And just like what you just said, that was some of the best words ever. And I realized that when I stopped taking crap, nice will get you in trouble. Nice, there's a difference between nice and kind. I want to be kind. Nice is usually for me, it's myself, it's me kind of making you try to like me. Kind is always for someone else. So I want to be known as kind because I do things for other people. Nice doesn't necessarily mean as much as it used to be to me. I mean, it's important. I don't want to be a mean person, but I'm kind and I'm direct, and that makes everybody happier. They love following a guy or a girl that is direct, but a good soul.
So what me and Mark are talking about here is holding the line on accountability. And so I don't remember what I said, and I didn't do it. I should have looked it up, but I don't remember what he said was great that I said before. But listening to the soundbite, it's all about you setting your SOPs, your disciplinary actions, and holding the line. It's one, and then when you do it, you don't have to be mean. You can be kind, but this is the rules. And when you go over that line, you present it to them. Well, you've hit the line. I'm sorry. It's time to go, or whatever the punishment may be for whatever you're doing. And so a lot of people think, well, I can't be that abrasive, or I can't tell people that. Well, yeah, you can. You just set the rules forward and you just hold the line. It's literally that easy. And now, if you really, really can't, then put a buffer in between you. Put someone that can. Hire someone to do it. Because if you don't, you're not going anywhere in business. Everyone's going to run over you. You're going to accept that. And all you're going to do is complain and bitch about your rest of your life. And that's what's going to happen. And I know a lot of people that allow that to happen. And quite frankly, they're miserable people. And when you're kind and you treat everybody kind and you give them the lines, they typically will stay under the line because they know how far they can push it or whatever. Generally, they don't like to push it, but I mean, they know up front what the consequence is, and you set it out there. And so I think it's a huge lesson in business, even for people that are complete assholes. I mean, you can take the line and make sure you adhere to that line. Don't go, firing people that are just getting you to a point where they've never crossed the line. Evaluate what these people, that are pissing you off are doing. Is it really something that you need to be reevaluate? I'll give you a perfect example. So we're having an issue with some of our educators Our rule is to get there at 8:45 in the morning. Okay. Cody, my lead guy, my educating manager, he's a pretty big stickler on, really doing everything by the book. Well, let's face it, the book gets bent pages at times, and you got to know when to fight and when not to fight. Well, I had noticed last week that these educators are getting home at 6, 7 o'clock at night. So the first thing I do is I go to look and see what time they start their day. And they're not getting to their first one when they're supposed to get there at 8:45, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Well, I don't give a hoot shit about what time they get home, nor do I ever want to hear them complain about it. Because I can pull up their GPS and go, hey, well, you didn't get there until 10. And I see you left your house at 9:45. So you working until 7 o'clock is your problem. But by the way, you're not going to do that anymore because that's not my company policy. The line is you're going to leave your house in enough time that should show you to get there at 8:45. That's our system. So we kind of got on. Cody got on to the team, the educating team, and then the next day saw the guys that are habitually late getting their appointment at around 9:03. So Cody decided to kind of get on them, and he said, "Well, I saw them leaving their house. If it took 40 minutes and they left at 8:20, well, they're not getting there at 8:45. They're getting there at 9 when our rule is 8:45." And I told Cody, I said, "Listen, the whole idea of the 8:45 was to make sure they're there by 9. I know what you're saying, but there's a certain point where you gotta pick your battle, right? What battle you want? As long as they're getting there at 9-ish, and you're managing them, the 8:45 rule is being accomplished, And so that doesn't mean you can't call them out on it, but you can be kind about it. You don't have to be mean about it. So anyway, that was just an example. That literally happened this week. So to let you know. So, all right, let's go on to our next soundbite.
Funny, when I gave my first class, not a round table, I got you and Chuck Hall sitting there in the first captain chairs right there next to me. I looked over at Chuck. I don't know if you were there yet. I looked over at him. Are you going to heckle me?
Yep, I was there for that. I was there for that because I was sitting there like, because I want to learn, because I want to see what you're doing. I want to see what I'm doing. I want to see how it all blends. I want to see what we need to bring out to the next, how to teach them differently. As you know, as a consultant, everybody learns differently. So how do you try to make them get it 3 different ways? There's seeing, hearing, and touching. So you got to learn 3 different ways. So I want to be able to do that. And if you're doing it one way, I want to tweak it a little bit, so I'm doing it a little bit differently.
And that's why I can't wait to watch yours, because you don't know what you don't know till you start seeing it. And I don't. There's one thing about stealing people's material if you're doing something that they're doing special, but there's also a learning curve to that